You're now outside the Beltway. I'm John Fredericks, your Godzilla of the Truth in America, coming to you live from the most beautiful, safest city in America, Washington, D.C. Not like Tehran these days. Don't want to be there right now or actually anywhere in the Middle East. Got to get out and got to get out fast as this thing continues on. We're going to talk about oil. We're going to talk about the price of gas as that might go up a little bit. We're going to talk about taxes, all that with my good friend, Grover Norquist at ATR, Americans for Tax Reform, is going to be joining us here momentarily. Let me just start, though, with Mike Lindell. By the way, he's running for governor of Minnesota. Good job, Mike. You know, he and his MyPillow employees, along with Dawn Curtis, his VP of Marketing, great lady, they told me, look, I really want to thank your supporters this year. You were so good to us, they said, in 25. And they want to make 2026 the best year ever. So they said, look, John, we're going to give your listeners and your viewers free shipping through March 31st. It doesn't matter what you buy, it's going to get free shipping. Now, they got a lot of great deals going on. My Pillows regular $49.98. They're only $14.98. You can turn any mattress into the best mattress ever with their made in USA My Mattress Topper like Ann and I have. It's super. Sammy loves it. We love it. You can save up to $100. You can get a set of MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. We got those too, $29.98, or the 6-pack towel set. When you get the towel set and then you go to a hotel and you could go to, a Hilton or Hampton Inn or a Marriott Courtyard or something like I do, and then you go get out of the shower and you got those the cardboard towels, you're like, oh my God, that's why I actually pack a MyPillow towel with me. I know it's insane, but I can't take those towels. You get spoiled. They're that good. 6-pack towel set, $34.98. Get the best specials ever. Go to MyPillow.com. Use promo code Godzilla. That's MyPillow.com, promo code Godzilla, or give them a call. 800-854-0504. 800-854-0504. Do it now. 800-854-0504. Promo code Godzilla. Get all the savings and free shipping right now. Joining me, Grover Norquist, President, Chairman, Founder, Americans for Tax Reform. Grover, thanks for being with us.
Good to be with you.
Okay, I just got to give you a shout out, okay? So you invited me to I think it was your weekly meeting, which is like 10 to noon or 10 to 11:30 on Tuesdays. It was only a few blocks from me, one metro ride away. It was the first time I went. I got to tell you, man, I was blown away by that. First of all, it was the fastest hour and a half in my life. You had one guest after the other. The knowledge I got that you and your panel that you put together through video or in person that I got in an hour and a half was better than anything I'd ever seen. Now now I got to go every week because I'm a true believer. But that thing you put on is amazing. I was blown away, Grover. What was before we get into what's going on now, just what was your vision of that?
Well, my understanding of the modern conservative movement, the modern Republican Party, is that it's a coalition of groups and individuals who, on their vote-moving issue, they want to be left alone. Homeschoolers, let me educate my own child. People whose most important thing in their life is their faith, let me practice my faith and transmit it to my children. They're not asking for Baptist stamps. They want to be left alone. The Second Amendment Committee, leave my Second Amendment rights alone. They don't knock on your door on Saturday and tell you should be a hunter. They simply wish to be left, businessmen and women, taxpayers, people who want to be left alone by the government. And so everybody can work together. Well, but they're very different people. The guy who wants to go to church all day, the guy who wants to make money all day, the guy who wants to fondle his guns all day, don't necessarily socialize or live in the same neighborhoods. But they all vote for the same candidate who respects their freedom on all issues. And putting together a coalition in DC, it's weekly. In 45 states, there's a monthly meeting. Some of them every 2 weeks, but most of them are monthly. And there are now 24 overseas. I'm going up to the Canadian meeting, which is being restarted up in Canada. So we find, not just in America, not just in Washington, D.C., but in all 50 states and in many countries, there is a center-right coalition. They don't talk to each other as much as they should. They need to understand what everybody else is doing, what they care about. It may not be your issue, but you need to know that in your coalition, there are people who homeschool. And I didn't know that. And different issues and how they're being attacked by the teachers unions or others. And we find that the same people who don't like one person's freedom also tend to be equally hostile to other kinds of freedom as well. So the meeting is the in-person embodiment of the Leave Us Alone coalition, which you can write down on paper, but it doesn't work well together unless people know each other.
I so agree with you. I was only went to the first meeting I've ever been to, and I'm a one metro stop away, which kind of embarrassed me that I don't go every week. But I'm gonna put on my calendar, and you just go in there, and I met a bunch of people. Like I got the gentleman you had that's running for Congress in Kentucky. He's on today. I think 7:45. So I met him there, and his team. I met a social media influencer there that you got us together. I'm having coffee with her, so she was pretty good. But then the greatest thing, and I just got to tell everybody this because I was really blown away by this, what you do, and because you do it every week. So to you, it's like, what? I do this every single week, John. Like, what's up? So I'm a protectionist, right? So Grover has on the key lawyer that filed this suit in order to get to the Supreme Court to strike the tariffs down. Of course, I have the exact opposite view of that. But where would I get that? Like this guy went through, and he's a high-powered attorney. Like he went through his strategy and the issues. I was writing it down because I'm like, oh my God, this guy's good. And then he had a strategy for Trump's second round of tariffs, and I'm like, okay. So I don't agree with it, but it was very informative. And you're right, and not everybody's going to agree on everything, but you put a coalition together that is very, very powerful. And it was, it was also a great social event. So I just want to thank you for inviting me, having me a part of it. I did get a signature for my Ward 2 race. Thank you. And met a lot of other DC Republicans there in a different ward that I made contact with. But I just want to thank you for that.
Well, if you're trying to put six people together and decide where to go to dinner, there are lots of different ideas. You can imagine in a country of 300 plus million people, if you're going to have a functioning majority, there will be many issues on which people don't understand each other or even in the same coalition. But if we can keep that to a minimum, where at least where we disagree, people understand and can, well, what if we approached it this way? We can solve the same problem, but in a way that doesn't step on your toes and that doesn't violate your liberty. That I think is the most important thing that happens at those meetings is people find ways to work together as they move forward, and also they can agree on the same candidate. You don't want to bring in a candidate who cares exactly like you on the Second Amendment, but forgets religious liberty or doesn't care about the right of parents to raise their own children or taxes down, or that doesn't help. That doesn't get somebody elected. You need somebody who can address the broad coalition and speak to liberty, not just in one zone, but in many. And so that's been very helpful. That meeting was put together just as Clinton came into office, and we realized we were going to have to reorganize.
Outstanding. And people that don't live in DC, they can get that via video stream, right?
Because many of the state groups have their leadership join that meeting so that they have a sense of what's happening. But we also have at least 2 international presentations each week because we do a lot of work with free market groups overseas. I may be going down to Chile next week. They were kind enough to invite me to the swearing in of the new center-right conservative leader in Chile following a communist. That's a swing. And just as it was in Argentina as well, where we have a very good working group, starting with the taxpayer group, but then all of the other pieces as well, where Argentina went from Peronist, I don't know whether you want, just complete status, the government should run everything, and completely corrupt, to radical free market position where I guess he's the president, not prime minister. The president, he's an anarchist. He's not a libertarian, an anarchist. So it's a pretty big swing down there, and they're really making some progress.
I can't wait for you to go to Chile. When you go to Canada, are you going to Alberta or are you going to Eastern Canada where the communists are?
I grew up in the United States. I vaguely know where Canada is. I believe it's the one to the north. but it's somewhere in the Northeast that the meeting is, I think, in Ottawa somewhere.
I can't wait till they get a load of you in Canada. That's going to be fun. All right, I want to get your take, Grover. You're worldly. You go beyond taxes and liberty. I want to get your take on what Trump is doing in Iran.
Oh my goodness. Well, what's fascinating is that the low number of casualties in a war such as this. Uh, this we don't do this. We don't have wars to find out if our stuff works. But one of the things you find out when you have a conflict like this is your army up to snuff? If sometimes European countries would think they had a big, nice army because they had wonderful uniforms, but they had 20-year-old technology and or strategies. Or the Soviet Union found out that their strategy for warfare, which showed up in Iraq during Bush 41, uh, didn't work at all. And all of a sudden they realized they didn't have an army that could take Europe because our weapons could stop their tank attacks, which was the plan. So uh, our intelligence seems to be pretty impressive, and the weaponry. So I think it's a word to the wise for Cuba and Chile. How about China and other countries to work with us and not try and confront us, as Iran decided to do. They were offered lots of off ramps, and they chose not to take them.
Grover, outline your vision of how the Cuban Communist government finally fails, implodes, and there's freedom there because the people they can't get water, their oil is cut off, they have no money, their last days are about us. What would be your vision of that government falling, and we have a pro-Western government that allows people to live
Yeah.
freely?
It's a very interesting question because in Eastern Europe, when they were under communism from the end of the Second World War up until the late 80s, uh, they they had a generation that didn't, a whole group of people who didn't ever know what freedom looked like or what a free society was like. Uh, and I wonder whether Chile has raised a generation or two that doesn't can't snap back to a more open society. Remember, they did have a dictatorship before the communists gave them a serious dictatorship. Um, Shoot you if you try and leave the country dictatorship. But there have been so many people who've escaped, and they must keep in touch with people in Cuba in very many ways. So my guess is the Cubans have a better idea than you might imagine, given the length of time the communists have been in charge, as to what the alternatives are. They know people in Miami, they know people in other places in Latin America, and they know that the standard of living is different. They know that there are other ways to lead your life than the way that communists are doing it. And the degradation of the economy is clear to them. And it's getting even worse because the bailout that used to come from the Soviet Union was cut off, and then because the Soviets got poorer, and then the same thing in Venezuela, where they were getting free oil. That's not an option now. So I think the pressure there is strong. And at some point, if you're a dictator of Cuba, as long as they promise not to hang you at the end of the process, what do you lose by walking away at this point? It's not like it's any fun to run a country that poor. I mean, if you're a king in a rich country, you can steal everybody's money and still have fun. But I don't think that's the case in Cuba.
I agree with you because they're communist, they're not religious fanatics. The alternative is death, and I think there'll be an opportunity for them to get out. Look, they gave Maduro an opportunity to get out. He didn't take it, and now we have a puppet government there. If you were advising President Trump, and it was a week ago, would you have been in favor of doing what he did? In
Uh,
Iraq?
I that's one of those I don't know because I don't know all the things that were in all the alternatives that were in front of him. We certainly the response could have been we hit Iran, everybody else sits on the sidelines, and then Iran lashes back at us, and the rest of the Arab world and Europe goes, well, you got yourself a fight there, America. But the Iranian reaction was to punish all of the Arab nations in North Africa and the Middle East. So they sort of put themselves at war with, make a list, everything from Jordan to Saudi Arabia to the Emirates. Um, it, it has the possibility of uniting the United States and the Arab countries in opposition to the Iranian government, but also in order to get something um, decent in the future. If we can take Iran off the table as a threat, where they were causing challenges in a number of countries, setting up Hezbollah and arming movements in opposition to the governments. So it appears to be moving in the right direction. And I don't, and the lack, I mean, yes, they shot back a fair number of missiles and stuff, but they didn't hit that much stuff. We've lost less than 10 soldiers, which is difficult to understand in a war like that. I mean, it's wonderful, but so few casualties. That if I was Russia looking at this, and if I was Ukraine, I think the Russian demands on Ukraine get cut in half or more, because Russia is losing one of its major allies, and the world is watching Russia abandon Cuba, abandon Venezuela, abandon Iran. Why would you, if you were in the periphery around Russia, think, well, maybe we should be nicer and do more for the Russians because who knows, they might win or something. They do not look like winners. I mean, not to sound like the president or something, but they're losing power, and now you've got China going, why did I attach myself to this thing? How much help is that? And China and Russia not completely joined at the hip is less of a threat to the United States and to Japan and to Taiwan.
Grover, final thing. Last week, you spent a lot of time on the SAVE Act. We got to hear from both House and Johnson spokesperson, Cruz, I think Thune or Cruz's spokesperson on the SAVE Act. But the reality is, you're not going to get the SAVE Act without John Thune going to a talking filibuster, which he can do. Why don't they just do that?
I don't know, and I have a fairly rigid rule that I don't give advice to leadership on how to run the House and the Senate. I will on policy questions. I think the SAVE Act is good legislation. I would hope that we could pass it state by state and nationally. The challenge, there are so many dotted lines in how people vote on some of these issues,
Right.
that I went to say, why don't you just make that guy vote with you? Well, I don't know what that means. And then we get mad when the leadership gives away the store in spending when you're trying to pass a bill, and you learn later the only way to get the lady from Alaska's vote was to stuff her mouth with gold stolen from taxpayers. That's why you have some of these spending bills, if you wanted to get the bigger bill. So it's to second guess. I'm not up for second guessing leadership on strategy. I do think the SAVE Act is an important piece of legislation. The idea that you shouldn't have an ID and proof of citizenship to vote is ridiculous. There will be a number of states that will have that on the ballot this fall. West Virginia, I believe, is going to be one of them as well. So we will have more and more states that require citizenship and voter ID.
Grover Norquist, I want to thank you for your time. Love your meeting. Enjoy getting to know you the way I've done over these last 15 years. I was just thinking the other day, you've been coming on my show for 15 years, and that was the first time I went to your meeting. Like, what am I doing? Come on, man. So thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
You're most invited.
I know I'm going to go every a week because it's literally one metro stop. It's like 6 minutes. Like, I have no excuse, and it was fun. Plus, we got bagels and coffee, and hey, good time for all. Where do people follow you, Grover?
Sure, I tweet at Grover Norquist. The website is atr.org. atr.org/list gives you the list of all the things that have flowed from the big beautiful bill. Lots of reports from different businesses about how many people they're hiring, what kind of investments they're making, and a lot of really good information on the president's Trump uh, accounts and how many companies are setting those up. And we'll be keeping track also of how many Americans, anyone under 18, can have their parents set up a Trump account where the parents can put up to $5,000 for a newborn for last year to the next 3 years, gets $1,000 from in taxpayer money as a starter kit for your account. And you also have philanthropists such as Dell Computers. He and his wife are putting, I think, 6.8 billion into 25 million different accounts for young people to get them started. If their parents couldn't afford to put money in to begin with, this will at least get them going and started. We're going to be raising a generation of people who, when they hit 18, have several $1,000s in their account. They watch it when the stock market goes up and down. They watch on TV and it talks about the Dow Jones average. They're going to know what that means.
Right.
The economic literacy of 18-year-olds, and they let you vote at 18, is going to be greater than most congressmen today.
Grover, brilliant plan, and thank you for all you do, really, and thanks for joining us today so early, sir. Thank you.
John, good to be with you.
You look great, by the way. You haven't aged in 15 years. I have, on the other hand. You haven't.
Thank you very much.
All right, all right. We're going to stay right here.